It's funny when you watch Tadej, because we know what he's capable of doing. And when we've seen what he did last year and the spring campaign this year, when he gets to the position to launch like he did today, part of you is disappointing when he stops the attack and doesn't see it through, because it's entertainment. Tadej is entertaining, and it's a spectacle, and it's entertaining because he can do what none of us ever want, what we all dreamed of wanting to be able to do. It was the beauty of Marco Pantani. You'd watch Pantani in the mountains, and it was entertaining because we all dream when we go on our bike of being able to do that on a climb. And Tadej can do it on any event, any stage, in any part of cycling. So his reservation this year, and him riding reserved and riding as a Tour de France leader should, because this is the maturest version we've seen of Tadej over the years.
I'm the 2012 Tour de France winner, Sir Bradley Wiggins.
And I'm Johan Bruyneel. I directed my teams to 9 Tour de France victories. Welcome to the Sir Wiggo and Johan Show, our daily show where we dive deep into the tactics behind every stage of the Tour de France. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Sir Wiggo and Johan Show, talking about stage 10 of this year's Tour de France. 165 kilometers. First mountain stage, mid-mountain stage, 4,500 meters of climbing. This show is presented as every day by Ketone IQ. We're glad to have, as every day, Bradley Wiggins with us again. Bradley, what's your take of the day? What's Bradley's take of the stage?
There was so much happened today, wasn't there? But obviously, I'm split between two. Ben Healy, taking yellow. What an amazing ride. And also, my second take of the day is what Jumbo Visma were doing. So we'll get to that a bit later on. The tactics they deployed in order to somehow either isolate Tadej, launch an attack and leave him behind, or what? I don't quite know, but we'll get into the beans of that. But first of all, I want to talk to you about one of our sponsors, NordVPN. I'm actually using NordVPN, Johan, to watch the coverage in the mornings here. It's a VPN. You can safely access your favorite streams and other content from your home, no matter where you go. Easily switch your virtual location to access apps and websites in other countries. Connect with one click or enable auto connect for 0-click protection. 7,500 plus servers in 118 countries. You can change your virtual location easily. Amazing speed. NordVPN is one of the fastest VPNs out there, and it can be used on up to 10 devices. Get your exclusive NordVPN deal here. It's www.nordvpn.com/themove. That's nordvpn.com/themove. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Link is in the episode show notes.
Okay. So, Bradley, as we expected, very hard stage. Maybe a bit, I would say maybe during the whole stage, maybe a bit disappointing because there was a big group going, attacks from the start until there was a really big group going away. And as we expected, really strong riders in there. Right? Just to name a few: Ben Healy, Lenny Martinez, Ben O'Connor, Alaphilippe, who got dropped afterwards, Simon Yates, Mike Woods, Blackmore, name them, many others. I think at some point there were 28 riders. 4 riders of EF education. That was quite something. And so, if you look at what happened, UAE, and I want to ask your opinion about that a bit later, but UAE was setting a pace, in my opinion, a bit too fast. But it was clear that this group, or at least a remainder of this group, would stay away for the stage win. And the fact that Ben Healy was in there, and he's riding so strong, he's shown this already a few stages ago. He did an incredible performance. He was going for yellow. And so I think you're right. I mean, he deserves to be in yellow. We had the situation that UAE starts to set the tempo. First of all the sprinters were dropped immediately and made a gruppetto, actually, something that I wouldn't have expected on a stage like this. I thought it would be a longer fight to stay in the bunch, but all the sprinters around, the whole team of Little Trek was around Jonathan Milan. I don't know how far they were back in the end, 30, 35 minutes.
Yeah, I think they were a good 12 minutes inside the time delay. So
okay, They had it under control. But UAE sets the pace. surprisingly, Sivakov had a bad day today. He was an important guy that normally should have been there. It happens. It happens, as we know. When you're the team of the favorite, you have to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
But the group initially got 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And I was thinking, why does UAE keep this so close? Visma Leasebike had 2 riders in there, but none of those 2 were actually a threat for Pogacar or for UAE. So why do you think they kept it so close?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. We've questioned that on other days as well. I think it's just the nature of modern day cycling. I think it's hard, when you've been so. I think it takes a lot of confidence and the confidence of the director sportif to say, look, let's let this gap go. Let's let it go. But I do think in this day and age, had they done that, someone else would have took up the riding, because there's always something that someone else stands to lose. And somehow you set the tone from the start. That we've seen the speeds from the start of these races. And there is an element of not knowing how much time you're going to lose. Plus, 2 Visma riders were in there. Simon Yates, brilliant win, by the way, for Simon. I did say on the top of the show that that was my take of the day, was the tactics from Visma. But at the same time, on that, there's 2 races going on there. Simon's in the break. Simon, having won the Giro, wins the stage today. Simon will be an important rider now from that, with the confidence he's gained in the next few weeks. But Niels Pollitt, he's done a great job this tour, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he really has. And I think it's just, you go from riding flat out every day. It's almost hard to readjust to come back to ride at a speed that allows the group to go. And if it goes too far also, I think there's a danger or a fear that we're going to have to pick the pace up later on in the stage. So it's almost better to let the break drift out slowly. So I think, the days are gone when you guys would take the bottle and let the jersey go by an enormous amount. I don't think we're going to see that anymore in this modern day cycling.
Yeah, I agree. I still think it would have been better. I completely I'm on the same point of view as you, that if they would have let it go, they would have had Soudal, for example, for Remco would have come in. Yeah. Let's say they let it go to 10 minutes, right? I mean, there's some guys in there that they say, we don't want to let them get back into the race, but actually none of them will be a threat for Pogacar, because I think one thing that people forget, they look at the times and they say, okay, well, this guy is 7 minutes down and now he's going to come back to 2 minutes. First of all, if they're 7 minutes down, it's for a reason. It's because they're not in top shape, unless they had a crash or something, right? And so I think if they would have let it go further out, they would have had Soudal, they would have had maybe even Arkea for Vauquelin, who knows? Maybe even, as we saw, Decathlon for Felix Gall, even Picnic for Only, and Red Bull for Lipowitz and Roglic. So I feel like they're not playing enough with these kinds of circumstances, because, as we said already in other podcasts, the Tour has this particular. It's so important that for now people think about people who can get in the top 5, but soon after the first mountain stage, we're gonna see people who think about being in the top 10, who will come to the rescue sometimes of a team. And so I thought that listen, these guys, Pollitt and today, MVP for me, Tim Wellens. Unbelievable what this guy has been doing today and other days. By himself, he kept this 28 rider group in check. But it just, yes, tomorrow it's a rest day, and then the day after it's an easier day, not a very easy day, an easier day. So that's maybe the way they think. But I'm still thinking that you need to think now about the last week for these teammates, and any help you can get and any energy they can save, they should take it. And they're not. In my opinion, they were riding too fast. But anyways, what to say about Ben Healy, Bradley? This guy, it's I compare it with what's it called, the Duracell bunny, the Duracell bunny. It's a guy. He just goes. He that was amazing today. He pulled for the last 30K by himself.
He did,
and he only lost 30 seconds.
He still finished third. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me, his style, it reminds me of Fernando Escartin. Do you remember him?
Yeah, there's another. I read today somewhere. There's another Spanish rider they compare him with, and you will. I'm pretty sure you will agree. I actually see him sometimes because his son raced with my son last year, at least. It's Paco Mancebo.
Mancebo, yeah.
Paco Mancebo, you know, the head tilted a bit and just going.
Yeah, very similar. But no, Ben Healy, I mean, what a ride, yeah. And to take yellow as well, you know, for that team. Fourth Irishman. You say the last Irishman was Stephen Roach, 38 years ago.
So that was when he won the Tour, right?
Yes.
He won the
Sean Kelly before that in 83 had it for... Sean, amazingly, only had it for one day in his career.
Wow.
Sean Kelly. And then, of course, the great Shea Elliott, who was Jacques Anquetil's teammate.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing day for Ireland. But I mean, but what unfolded behind then with Visma, when it started for me with Visma, what I started questioning, I didn't question the tactics they were deploying when Sepp Kuss and Matteo Jorgensen were riding on the front. And the gap opened and it started stretching out. But then Jonas let the wheel go from them and stayed with Tadej. So they were both off the front on their own, which I couldn't understand. I mean, if they're going to do something like that, then you need to be on the wheel. But obviously, and then what followed was Sepp dropping back, Sepp attacking again, Matteo dropping back, Matteo attacking again. But they were like half-hearted attacks. Yeah. And I agreed with George on that I think they were just testing the waters today to see what kind of, but what it wasn't doing, it wasn't making that group any smaller. That group still stayed intact.
Yeah, one thing you can say, okay, you know, first of all, Sivakov was not there. So they had to use Wellens and Soler earlier than expected, and Adam Yates was there with Narvaez.
Yeah,
I think the plan was probably for Adam Yates and Narvaez to be there with Pogacar on the last climb. So they accomplished that they put Narvaez and Adam Yates in trouble, and that Pogacar was by himself. So the only thing they accomplished, which could be a valid reason that Pogacar didn't have a lead out on that last climb. Does it really matter?
Really, he needed one, did he? He didn't need one, did he?
It doesn't. It doesn't really.
Because what we did see again there was when Tadej goes. I mean, there was a moment Jonas started to get dropped, looked around to see anyone was around, and then Tadej at that same time backed off.
Yeah,
because I assume he knew the gap was, you know, very close to him losing the jersey and wanted to let that jersey go. But other than that, I think that was a saving grace of Jonas was Tadej slowing down. And we saw his attack. When he goes, it's devastating.
To me personally, Bradley, the observation I have of today, and you know, it's just from seeing the images on TV, right, is how unbelievably easy he looks. His face is relaxed. He, you know, even when he was then with Jonas, of course he was not gonna. I mean, with Jonas on the wheel, he looked easy, and you know. These guys also see that because they're watching the images after the race, right? They're analyzing the images. So, you know, you can say, okay, well, we need to make the race hard. But as we said already several times, if they make it hard, they make it hard for everybody, and they're actually doing the job that normally Pogacar's team would be doing.
Yeah,
they're doing it for him. So, for the moment. You know, and of course, and I understand, you know, it's a total strategy over 3 weeks, right? So I do acknowledge that Visma obviously won something today. They got a nice stage win. They got Simon Yates, who is, you know, obviously feeling again in the front of the race, which is important. Personally, I think that after the Giro, he was first of all super tired, and probably, you know, he's a quality rider. It's probably a question mark of how good he will be in the second part of the Tour, right? Another thing I also liked to see today in favor of Visma is that Sepp Kuss, his pedaling style, the way he looked on the bike, is the one of the good days of Sepp Kuss.
He was great.
That's for sure.
And it was good to see. It was just good to see him back at the head of the race.
Yeah. My question, however, is with Sepp Kuss, what can he do to put the hurt on Pogacar?
What can anyone do? That's the problem. And I think it's how they use their efforts combined. You know, they've got great individual riders now. They've got Simon Yates, obviously he's back in form. Matteo, and Sepp. And but Jonas, it's for, I mean, ultimately, this is all going to come that they can do what they like. They can make it, all those guys can do really is get rid of Tadej's teammates and have Tadej on his own. That's the best situation they can hope to be in. And when that happens, ultimately, it's going to have to fall on the shoulders of Jonas to try something at some point. Because that's, and they have to hope at that time that it's been hard enough and Tadej's been isolated for long enough that he has to do most of the work. And then Jonas, but we won't know that until we get to the bigger climbs like Hotekam and things like that. That's where we know Jonas will shine. That's his domain. And these smaller climbs, as we know, Tadej is devastating on these smaller climbs. One big attack, and it's over.
And it's also what you clearly see is whenever Matteo Jurgensen, who is the only guy of Visma that they needs to worry about, except Jonas. Whenever Matteo is also, first of all, he's not an explosive rider already. He's a diesel. He's good. He can accelerate it. He doesn't have a lot of punch. Tadej doesn't even have to get out of the saddle to follow him. He just looks and he just pushes twice and he's on the wheel.
Yeah.
And then then they at some point that's what they had. They had Jurgensen, Pogacar on the wheel, then Jonas, and a few others. But then what do? You kind of have to keep going because otherwise, some Visma guys are going to get in, but some UAE guys are going to get in again also. So I think it's going to be more clear on Hotekam. It's a hard stage and it's a hard climb. So there we will see really. Who's the strongest, right?
And education will, that'll be their first day in yellow. They'll want to ride just to display the jersey.
Yeah, it'll be their second day in yellow. Because on stage 11, it's that's why I think if for example if Healy would have had a 5 or 10 minute buffer,
you'd imagine he was expected to keep the jersey on Hotekam, wouldn't you?
Exactly. Yeah exactly.
Because with the gap he's got, I anticipate him losing it on Hotekam.
On Hotekam, he's done. He's done. There's no way he can keep it.
Have you ridden Hotekam before?
Myself, never. No, I think
because they did 94. It went up. It didn't it 94 when Miguel.
94 they did it. I didn't do the tour, and in 96 they also did it, but I had crashed already in the ravine, and I had to abandon.
And then Lance won up there, didn't he? Of course.
Yes. That was in 2000, I think. 2000. Which is, and I'm actually going. I'm actually going to the tour,
you are
in 2 days, and I'm going to be at Hotekam for Belgian TV. I'm not going to be at the top, but I'm going to be there for that stage. So
it's signing riders for George's new team.
No. Yeah, I think he'll need to wait for a few years to be able at that level. But it's going to be nice. It's the first time I'm going to be back at the tour since a very, very long time. I mean, I'm going to be with Belgian TV, but I'll go and say hi to some ex-colleagues. Yeah, at the start. Yeah. Also, I don't know if you noticed until today, which is also something that I just found out today. So the first 10 stages, even for a difficult stage like today, Jonas has been riding every stage with a 1x, a single chainring in the front.
Really? Yeah.
That's also something special, right? I mean, of course, now I guess they have the 13 speed for SRAM. Yeah. So you can go from 10 to 46. So you can have but that's also something unheard of for a mountain stage.
Yeah.
I mean, it eliminates the risk that you drop your chain and stuff like that. But I still think the combination of 2 chain rings, you have much more possibilities, don't you think?
Yeah. I prefer the double chain ring. Aside, I'm not too sure the jump on the cassette from a 10 to a 46. I like a lot of a sort of a straight through block.
Exactly. Yeah. No, there are obviously bigger gaps, so. It's not always not always the same. Before we go on, we're going to talk about our presenting sponsor, Ketone IQ. As we know, ketones are widely used in the peloton nowadays. Ketone IQ is the official sponsor of Visma Leasebike. This is my personal preferred format. It's the 10-gram ketones, no sugar, no caffeine. It's been proven scientifically that ketones boost the athletic performance. That's why everybody is using it in the Tour. Ketone IQ did a study in a placebo-controlled environment with trained athletes, and they found out that it boosted average sprint power by 19%, peak power by 13%, it cut fatigue by 10%, and spiked blood ketones 5 times in 20 minutes. It's also discovered later on that ketones help for a faster recovery. That's why you see almost all the guys, they either take the what's it called, the tart cherry, the reddish, and on top of that, a little bottle of ketones straight after the finish. Ketone IQ, as I said, teamed up with Team Visma Leasebike and the Catholic University of Leuven to explore recovery and high altitude adaptation. And their key findings are an improved blood flow, higher muscle oxygenation for better endurance and stamina. So if you want to try, go to ketone.com and enter the code TheMove20 for 20% off. So ketone.com, enter the move 20 at checkout. Let's get a bit closer to, we've talked about what happened during the stage, but the last 25 kilometers. So as we saw, Visma Leasebike, they started with 25K to go. They upped the pace with Benoot, first of all, with Benoot and Sepp Kuss, and later on, Jorgensen, right? Obviously, that was to try to, as we said, to isolate Pogacar. And as we said, the thing they accomplished is that so Wellens was gone, of course, then Soler was gone, and Tadej was with 2 guys. But I don't really see the point. Obviously, I don't see the point of what they were doing. As I said on the move a little bit earlier, I think in Visma, and this is just my opinion, there's too many different inputs of information, and they're trying to make the strategy too complicated. They have many directors. There's Grishan Irman, who's, in my opinion, is a bit the lead director, right? As we have seen in the Netflix series, he's the guy who's on the radio. We have Frans Maassen, who's also in the car, very experienced guy. I think personally a very good director because he's super calm. But there's also other external advisors and influences, and I just don't think that that's working. You can get information, right? I think it's important in a team car that you get information, because there's a lot of things that from the team car you don't see. I speak from my own experience. You see the peloton, you have to rely on TV, and there's a lot of things you can't see. But the information you get from outsiders, in my opinion, needs to be from people who have been there, done that, know what it feels, and know what to look for, the signals. And in Visma, that's not the case. They have people who have never raced, never put a number on their back, go off numbers, calculations. It's all fine. And I think it's great to use that information, but it's still the people in the race, the director, and in most cases, the rider itself, who have to make their decisions. What's your opinion on that, Bradley? When you were on,
I agree.
On Sky, yeah,
I agree. And one thing I will always say is, no matter how much information you've got, external information with latest science and this, and people watching from a different angle, etc., the race onus and the responsibility always falls with you. Ultimately, first of all, you, the team leader, because you're out on the road feeling it in real time, and you're the direct line of communication with the guys around you, your teammates. So Jonas saying, he could be saying, look, don't attack here. This is stupid. Save yourself. Just stay next to me until, or, Matteo Jorgensen, you try something. And that communication between those guys that in the field. And second of all, the second responsibility falls with the DS, because that's the guy you have contact with each day. That's the guy you make a plan with in the bus before you go out on the road. That's the one, you never go against the DS in some ways, unless it's, there's an explanation at the end of the day. But if the DS in the car says, look, guys, do this, I need you to do this now. This is my order. you don't go against team orders. You do that. So outside of that, if the DS is not confident enough or got enough knowledge and information and enough confidence in his plan, having spoke about that with the riders, then there's too many people, too many cooks putting stuff in the pot, and it gets confusing. And then there's, it's not one for me. It's not one for me. And if I was Jonas out on the road, if they're getting told to do something, attack or whatever, attack is a 2. You start to lose faith in your DS and their tactical decision making, and I think that's a shame, really. And but that is, again, I can't relate to it because it didn't happen in our day, and we saw the issues that arose in Team Sky in 2012 when Froome went against team orders, and Sean Yates was the disappointment in Sean Yates afterwards, not being able to comprehend what was happening. Obviously, we've discussed all that since then, but it is it's all you have is your that's the whole reason for having a radio in.
Yeah.
So I find it hard that they people like that. I mean, how many people during a Tour de France stage when Lance was doing his thing would have a direct line to you during a stage and say, Johan, I think you should do this? I mean, it goes against everything you're employed to do.
It was 2 people, and it was 2 people that I completely trusted who had been there, done that.
But that was your personal choice, wasn't it?
Yes, of course, because I know. I mean, and it's also because, and nowadays, technology has improved a lot. They have all the information on the course, all the information on GPS data where every rider is. We had to rely on analog TV, and sometimes they went in and out. But still, I personally think, one thing that maybe could be an explanation for Visma, now thinking about it, is it also goes with the personality of the leader. If you have a leader, and I think in this way, Tadej and Jonas are 2 opposites.
Yeah,
at least that's the way it seems to me from a distance, right? I don't know any of those 2 guys personally. From what I see, Pogacar makes decisions sometimes on the go.
Yeah.
And is a stronger personality. Jonas seems more like a guy who executes orders. And maybe he needs that. But then I think that sometimes, and again, I'm just going off, for example, what I've seen in the Netflix series about, so when you see Team Visma, and also, I know that's not reality, but because it's pictured in a way to make the documentary great. But I've seen certain stages of Visma in the past, even the ones they won, that they were trying to do too many things in the same stage. Or let's win the stage, or let's try to win the stage. Okay, now let's go for second with Wout, and let's do this. And and I fear that they're going in the same direction again. Today, what we saw was, in my opinion, they were a bit all over the place. Anyway, maybe I would have to swallow my words in the last week, and they will be right. Who knows? We will see. Anyway, then, maybe let's talk a little bit about what happened on that last climb in the stage. I think it was clear that from that breakaway that Ben Healy was not going to win the stage, right? And because the moment he had 4.5 minutes, he just went like all in for the yellow jersey.
Yeah.
And logically, it was clear that Simon Yates was going to be the big candidate. He had been sitting back, passing now and then, but and I don't know if you saw his interview after the finish, and that's why I think that when I said on the move, this is a good Simon Yates, not a great Simon Yates. He had doubts on that last climb.
He did. Said,
he said, I wanted to have a head start, and took advantage of the corners, because the moment we saw them coming into that last climb, he was already gone.
Yeah.
And he did a great climb, but I think it's also safe to say that Ben O'Connor is not the best Ben O'Connor we've seen, and Arendsman has been better already also, and they were able to bridge up to him or come close to him. But anyways, listen, great stage win, and it's what a dream season or the last few months. In one of the shows we did in the off season, Bradley, we talked about the trades and transfers of the season, and Lance and I said, both of us, the transfer of the season is Simon Yates. from Jayco to Visma.
How
won
true
the
is that?
Giro.
Jesus.
I mean, won the Giro. And now
Incredible.
he will probably be the key rider, one of the key riders for Jonas, and already win a stage. How many stage races does he have now in stage wins? 4 or 5?
Three in the Tour de France.
Oh, 3 in the Tour. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but obviously he's won the Vuelta, won the Giro. He's what a career. And it's funny how we talk about him at 32 years of age as being one of the older riders of the peloton.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that I have always, I mean, do you know these guys personally? They have a personal.
Yeah, I know him a little bit. I know
them
them a little bit.
Okay, so how strange is this? Like the two biggest rivals, Visma, UAE, they have two twin brothers who obviously I don't think have any secrets for each other as twin brothers.
No.
How does that work? Like,
well, no, I think, yeah. I mean, one thing about the Yates brothers is they are extremely professional. Yeah. Extremely professional. And they always have been since a young age. And you know, as close as they are as brothers, there's certainly no exchanging of tips. They will both want to win for their own riders on their own teams.
Yeah, for sure.
And there will be no exchanging of Tadej's doing it. They're not like that. When they're on the bike and in bike kit, they are the most consummate, loyal, professional cyclists, and just great. Incredible demeanor off the bike, incredibly professional in interviews, and they're a credit to themselves and their parents and everyone around them. They really are.
Two amazing bike riders. Phenomenal. I mean, we have the other twins also, the Johannessens in the Holland-Johannessen. Yeah, they're both on the same team, so it's a bit more easy, and they're not in the same position. Another thing, I mean, and then we can move on to our Ventum trivia. Don't you think that I'm seeing a different Tadej Pogacar than in the past years? More in control of himself. Maybe he's just going to unleash everything he has on the first mountain stage and say, okay, enough of this shit. Here I am. Stop everything. You know, who knows? But until now, I see him riding a lot more calculated. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, he's. It's funny when you watch Tadej, because we know what he's capable of doing, and when we've seen what he did last year and the spring campaign this year. When he gets to the position to launch like he did today, part of you is disappointing when he stops the attack and doesn't see it through, because it's entertainment. Tadej's entertaining, and it's a spectacle, and it's entertaining because he can do what none of us ever want, what we all dreamed of wanting to be able to do. It was the beauty of Marco Pantani. You'd watch Pantani in the mountains, and it was entertaining because we all dream when we go on our bike of being able to do that on a climb. And Tadej can do it on any event, any stage in any part of cycling. So his reservation this year, and him riding reserved and riding as a Tour de France leader should, because this is the maturest version we've seen of Tadej over the years. He's no longer that sort of adolescent junior boy who can, you know, and his demeanor's changed off the bike. He's a bit more moody now at times, and a little bit more getting irritated with certain things in a good way, not at the detriment to his bike riding ability. And even when Jonas put his hand out today, I come across the line, Jonas was kind of, Tadej's face he didn't smile. He reciprocated the handshake, but it was cold. He was cold as ice. And I love this Tadej. I think cycling needs this Tadej. Yeah. You know, it needs this, and he's growing in that. He's growing into that mold every year now, and it's great. But he is riding, more reserved. But I do think him riding reserved is from years now of experience at riding. I mean, this has come from experience. This is a different Tadej to the one who won on Planche de Belleville when he won his first Tour de France.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like the maturity that he's grown into now, and I think
I personally, it's a different Tadej than we saw last year. Last year he was doing things that say, "Wow!" I mean, okay, great, but man, dude, it's 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think all this reservation and all this riding conservatively and making the efforts at the right time will boil down. I think this, and I don't know if I'm wishful thinking this, but I think it's all boiling down to one big kill the Tour de France off with one move one day.
Yeah.
And that could be on Hautecam. He might not do it. He might just defend this 1 minute 30 lead over Jonas but I don't think so. I think Jonas will make his... Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, in Pogacar's case, it's Jonas who has to attack now. So, you know, if he wants to use this strategically, it's actually very, very easy. You know, he just follows. Let Jorgensen and let Sepp Kuss and let Simon Yates make it hard. It's not going to be hard enough for Tadej. And then Jonas normally has to attack. You follow Jonas, and then if you can, you counterattack. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
One thing we've forgotten to talk about, I don't want to close off the show before we talk about Lenny Martinez. Lenny Martinez today in the breakaway, he was my choice. I picked him yesterday to win the stage. For outcomes, Spencer picked Ben Healy. But I mean, he didn't win the stage, but he got the polka dot jersey. I think it's a really nice story. You know, Lenny Martinez, his dad is Miguel Martinez. He was also a professional cyclist, well known to be Olympic champion mountain biking. And his granddad is Mariano Martinez, who actually won the final polka dot jersey in the Tour de France. You remember the year?
1978.
78, yeah. So I've read certain interviews, and apparently his granddad, Mariano Martinez, is getting problems with his... I mean, he must be in his late 70s or early 80s now. You know, he's getting problems with his eyesight. He's slowly going blind, and his wish is to see his grandson in the polka dot jersey before he loses completely his eyesight. So that's something that he accomplished today. So chapeau to Lenny Martinez. That was great to see. Yeah, we'll close off with our Ventum trivia as every day. The question of yesterday's stage was Sir Mark Cavendish became the winningest rider in the history of the Tour. Why has stage 9's finishing town Châteauroux been dubbed Cavendish Town? The answer was it's where he won his first Tour de France stage in 2008, and he also won there in 2011 and in 2021. What a time span from 2008 to 2021. So that was the correct answer. Today's question for stage 10 is: the first mountain stage of this year's Tour de France was on Bastille Day. Who was the last Frenchman to win a stage of the Tour de France on France's national holiday? Send your best guess, or if you know the correct answer, send it to ventumracing.com and you can enter into the contest. We will draw a winner at the end of the tour for $5,000 of store credit towards any Ventum bike you want to buy. If you don't want to wait until the end of the tour, Ventum is also offering a standing discount during the whole duration of this Tour de France. You get 10% off the whole site using the code TheMove10, and you get 20% off if you want to buy an NS1 road bike with the code NS120. Tomorrow, rest day, transfer. I haven't really checked the details if they do the transfer today or tomorrow. It's going to be half a rest day. And then we go into stage 11 for Toulouse. So it's a loop. It starts in Toulouse, comes back to Toulouse. Not particularly a straightaway sprint stage. I think there's like 3 or 4 climbs at the end, one of which is a third category climb in the final. It's very steep. It's like 1 kilometer at 12%. We've seen that already in the first few days. So could be breakaway, could even be a Tadej stage. Who knows? Well, anyways, thank you, Bradley. We'll be back.
Yep, thank you, man.
Not tomorrow, but the day after. Thanks. Speak soon.
See you then. Bye.